Hello, welcome to UK Versus again. So this is something we're just trying for the channel. So I'm going to be doing a deck tech today of my latest obsession when it comes to Versus decks. So we're trying for the channel. I'm not joined by my glamorous co-host Brett today. Maybe he'll do some of these in the future. And yeah, hopefully you guys like it. And if you've got any comments, feedback, any of that sort of stuff, tell me how wonderful it is. Whatever you like to do. Just like I say, leave some comments, get in touch, let us know. And obviously, for those watching on YouTube, press all those buttons, the like, subscribe, and so leave us some comments, let us know what you think. So yeah, if you go back and watch one of our previous videos, which I certainly recommend you do, we did a deck build on Sir Night Eye. And one of the things I talked about the way I approach deck building is I like to find a hook. So whatever the inspiration is for the deck, so whether that's an attack or a character or a package or or a combo or something along those lines. And so with the recent release of Set 5 Undaunted Raid, there was one very specific card in there that caught my eye and made me want to build around it. And that is Storm Blades, of which we are obviously playing 4 of. So for those that don't know, it is a 4 difficulty attack with weapon. It's got a 1 high block, it's got a 3 mid for 3, and it's got a 1 check. So on that face, those stats are pretty embarrassing. But the key to this card is the response. So after this attack resolves, discard the top 5 cards of your deck. As your next form, you may play 1 attack with a printed damage of 3 or less, discarded this way, no check necessary. So the dream with playing Storm of Blaze is to, go fully roll in the casino, play your first, mill the top 5, get another one, play that one, mill the top 5, play that one, and then play another attack on the end, right? That's what you want to do ideally, but any other, any sort of, you just get generating value of these attacks that you're not playing with any sort of progressive difficulty or checks at all, right? Now, the main problem with these is they are 3 mids for 3. They're kind of embarrassing stats. You're never going to, this, even just doing this sort of living the dream, you're still only doing 12 damage. So you need to find ways, obviously, of pumping those stats and doing things with it. The first iteration I had of doing something with Storm of Blades and was sort of like the obvious place to start was Moonfish, because it's got its face, it's very much a Moonfish kind of feeling attack. It's the 3 damage matters. It's got symbols, so I started with that. And the problem I found was that Moonfish is terrible. He's very, very flimsy. He's got 17 health, so he just dies to 1 attack. His abilities aren't great, and yeah, sometimes you had fun with Storm Blades, but it just was a bit rubbish. So I started thinking about, okay, what else can I do with this card? That I had the brainwave of using this card with it. So, Specialized Sound Waves. Shouldn't need too much introduction. Everyone should know what Sound Waves does by now. So, it is a 3 damage attack. So, it works sort of tactically in this sort of 3 damage matters thing. But the dream with Sound Waves, and the way I kind of figured this combo out, or the thing I could do with Storm of Blades, is I've got a Sound Waves and I've got a Storm of Blades in hand. I play my Sound Waves. I draw my card. So I've got a Storm of Blades in the discard pile. I've got my momentum. So I play my Sound Waves. I draw my card. I spend my momentum, and then let's say this is a foundation, a check foundation. I put my Storm of Blades second down. I put my foundation there. Resolve this. Play a Storm of Blades. Make my check. Guarantee hitting into the second one, right? Not too crazy. And we know Sound Waves is very good. Then maybe this hits another Sound Waves or a Storm Blades or any other attacks in the deck. So that was kind of, I figured, okay, that sort of works. We're playing 1 checks, lots of few 2 checks between friends anyway. And we know Sound Waves is just very good on its own. So then it's okay, we're going to maybe play this shell. We've got to play on air, the only symbol we're sharing. So who do we play as our character? We're not going to play Moonfish, he's terrible. So then, obviously, we play Jiro. Right? Everyone knows that Jiro's good. Everyone knows just I am. She's got that once per turn enhance that helps with kind of trying to mitigate these 1 and 2 checks. Helps us be a bit more safe. Lets us manipulate our opponent's decks. And yeah, just obviously is a very good enhance. And not only that, her response obviously pumps up our damage on our sound waves, gets above that 3, gets some of that damage going in, but then gives this guy speed because it's a weapon. So we just need to find the damage from elsewhere, which we'll see when we come to that later. But obviously, this is building these big long strings. Jiro loves big long strings to get massive stats. So you've played a 3 or 4, 5 damage string, and then at the end of the Storm of Blades, you flip another sound wave, just getting a whole load of damage. Perfect. That's what we want to do. We want to be able to kill people rather than just flinging 7 attacks for a grand total of 12 damage, and our opponent looks at us a little bit embarrassed for us. So yeah, so these obviously we're going to play at 4 elves. Jiro's our character. We're playing this on air. And then what are the other cards we're now going to build around with these? Okay, so just put this to one side. So then let's look at the rest of our attacks. So we have got 3 instant explosive release. Everyone knows what this does by now. Right, just organising my card a bit over here. Yeah, instant explosive release. Obviously it's a fury, so it doesn't work necessarily with Jiro, but it does work with Storm Blades. It is a 3 damage. So again, all those 3 damage matter stuff that maybe come into works with that. This obviously, if we've got a way of getting our first attack through, gives us our snap momentum for our sound waves to then go off that turn. Again, everyone knows that kind of high roll Jiro that Philip took to 2nd place at the HLC. Your jolt / grav lift into IER into sound wave chains. Everyone knows about that by now. So again, it's getting stuff and getting our momentum, but also it has that kind of, if you block it, it gets +2 damage. No one wants to block an IER, right? So if this deals damage, you get +2 damage. No one wants to block an IER. It's only a 3 for 3. We're not getting bonus stats from Jiro or whatever. We might get bonus stats from elsewhere, as we'll see, but no one really wants to block them because they're going into momentum. It feels bad, but it means we get that extra damage onto our other attacks. So an attack that hits into an IER into our Storm Blades. Our first Storm Blades is then going in for 5. Again, works very much well what we do. I could see playing this at a 4. I could see playing it at a 2. 3 has felt good. We almost always want to try and C1 on those kill turns to get that momentum in, to get our sound waves thing going, and for the other sort of momentum outs in the deck. So, and again, it's a 3 damage attack that isn't embarrassing, and I'm quite happy to play in the deck. Yeah, IERs felt very good. So we've then got the rest of our 3 damage. So we've got 4 piercing barrage. Again, another new one from Undaunted Raid. So this is a 4/3. It's another 3 mid for 3 with a 1 high block, so we get some high blocks in our thing. It's another weapon, so again picks up that speed from Jiro. So again, another nice one to flip late off her Storm Blades. And has the combo of a 3 damage, again comboing with all of these in our deck, which it gives it +3 damage. Solves that damage problem, right? We're getting the speed from Jiro. This means this almost always comes in for 6. Then it also, if we need to play more stuff on the chain, has the enhancer. If this deals damage, your next check to play an attack with printed damage 3 or less, i.e. all of these, gets +2. Perfect. It sort of does what we want. It's not exciting. But it's a role player in the deck. I could see playing 3 of this and cutting 1 for something else, because sometimes you end up with those hands of 2 of these and they're pretty awkward, and you don't really want to poke with this because it's kind of rubbish. And it's only really one of the ones you want to play late in that string. So yeah, I could certainly see cutting one of these for another attack of some sort. But it felt pretty good because they hit quite hard for the little dinky donk attacks you've got in this deck generally. It picks up that speed, so this is quite easily like a 6 mid for 6, 7 mid for 6 in this deck. So yeah, it's felt pretty good in testing so far. And then we've got the last 4 attacks of the deck are only non-3 damage. So we've got 3 electric jolt, 1 home run comet. So home run comet we know is very, very good in Jiro, right? It's a charge weapon, picks up both sets of stats. It's a great little poke on turn 2. Because again, do they want to block it? Maybe there's more coming. You could always snap momentum from it. So again, even if you're going in that turn, you don't have the IER. This snaps you that momentum for your sound waves. you know, stuff we all know from playing Jiro, right? But also can be that kind of kill at the end of a string of they never see the big old home run comet coming. Again, it's felt very good. This was the 4th Jolt, but at the suggestion of Mr. Broberg, he suggested playing at least a home run comet, and yeah, I could even see going 2 and 2, but I think I'm happy with the 3 and 1 so far. So yeah, the other 3 are 3 electric jolts. Again, Jolt needs very little introduction at this point. Again, a great turn 1 poke, turn 2 poke, a great way of enabling IER on that first attack, and also, like, don't underestimate, obviously, when people obviously don't by this point, the flip for momentum if you get it in there turn 2 and you're going in on turn 3, because that's generally what this deck's trying to do, is maybe poke and build a bit on turn 2 and then kill on turn 3. Because things like, especially like their defensive piece, they're basically just to shut down their defensive pieces during like your kill string turns, especially things like learning the standards. So learning the standards obviously ruins this card because you know, you respond and play the form, and then they respond with this, and they respond with learning the standards and say, well, that attack you just flipped at the top 5, you're not actually allowed to play anymore, and sort of ruins it. So I think I'm happy with the 3-1 split here. You could play around with that. I think 4 is in, especially because I'm trying to keep this deck quite slim, just to try and guarantee consistency of our Storm of Blades. I think 4 is the maximum amount you're allowed to play that aren't 3 damages. And Jolt, obviously, and Home Run have these momentum outs. So if the game goes long, you know, you can make a big old speedy Jolt to try and kill them, or a big powerful home run comet to kill them. Like, you know, it's got, you know, they do the standard sort of Jiro things. So yeah, that's our attack lineup. So we're playing 4. Playing 4 though. So our 4 non-3s, our 4 piercing barrage, our 3 IRs, our 4 storms, and our 4 sound waves. So we're playing like a 19 attack list. I think it's sort of 50 odd cards, and I'd like this lineup. Like I say, I think maybe you could either trim one of these or swap it for something else. Other attacks I've considered would be something like Razor Deluge in Moonfish's kit. I don't think it's necessarily better than what we're doing here. Again, if anyone's got any suggestions of things that you could try in these, you know, by all means let us know. So yeah, that's our attack lineup. So then we look at our foundations. So starting off, we are playing a metric crap ton of zeros, and because we're playing 4 1s and we're playing 4 2s, we can't afford to play a high curve. So we're playing 4 basic training, we're playing 4 requesting, we're playing 4 release. You know, they're very, very good air zeros. Again, everyone knows what these do. Quite often we are going to have them, you know, we want to be having the momentum, so requesting's online. Basic training gives us a little bit of deadlock pressure. Again, not especially, but it's just one of the better zeros we can play. Release is a bit of defense. We don't play a lot of defense in this deck. Yeah, it's a 4 check, but it's just a 0, and it's better than this card. Save a million. Again, a 0-5 with a 3 high block. Response commit after you block an attack. Look at the top card. Your deck may discard it. Sometimes it is useful to make sure that if you need to block a second attack, you don't have a 1 or a 2 sitting on top. But mostly this is a blank 0-5 that just to mean I can build on turn 1 and turn 2, because I can't play 6 releases, you know. And so yeah, we're just playing a lot of zeros, not particularly highly impactful. I mean, obviously requesting is requesting. You know how good these ones are. Basic training can often be a bit awkward, especially with the attacks and other things going on. But again, it's just, you know, a bit of damage pump. That's what we need for our 3 damage attacks. So yeah, it sort of does it. It fills a role. Obviously, it has a deadlock on it. Yeah, so we just need to play all these zeros so you can guarantee those turn 1, turn 2 builds, because it can be rough. So then we look at our ones. Again, a lot of them, because again, we're trying to guarantee those turn 1, turn 2 builds. So, possibly outside of Storm of Blades, the most important card of the deck is Blade Tooth. So it's a 1/4, 4 low block. You never want to block this card because you always want to build with it, so we don't care about that. It's a weapon, doesn't really matter, but response after your non-throw attack deals 3 or less damage, your rival loses 1 health. Perfect. It means that those 3 damage attacks become 4. 2 of them in play, they become 5s, 6s, 7s, you know. It makes half blocking your attacks miserable because, you know, let's say you've got, you know, your piercing barrage coming in for 6, they half block it, and you've got 2 blade tooth coming out. Well, cool, nerd, you take 5 anyway. Again, they block a jolt, it deals 1 damage, or, you know, they block one of your. They block a jolt, deals 1 damage. Oh no, actually it deals 3 because I've got 2 blade tooth out. Like, it just does everything you want for the deck. And honestly, a lot of the times you will struggle if you don't see these in your stage early to actually kill people. And you know, mulliganing for these cards isn't necessarily a bad thing because it's just almost so key to what you're trying to do. We're then playing 4 Arrogant Disposition. It's the 6 check we want in our discard pile to put on top of the Sound Waves, right? And actually, like, it's commit, punch, attack, -3 speed. Pretty good right now with all the Mirios and Dekus and All Might 3s and all these good, and Eraserheads, all these good punch packages. You know, all these 100% smashes and rejuve smashes and Texas smashes. Having this as like something you're very happy to play main deck that accidentally hates on them, again, great. Self-doubt, haven't really tested too much of this. This was just another one that had a low block more than anything. You know, sometimes they will block late and it just gives you the next check. It's just a fairly low impact card, but again, it's a 1. There isn't really, I don't think it's really any more zeros you could play, or else this probably would just be a random 0. Has a use, but you know, it's got that low blocks needed. Nejire-chan, again another new card. Damage pump, a little bit of health regen. It's a way of keeping yourself out of deadlock if you need to. Very good. I could certainly see playing a 3rd. I mean, it might just be that should be the case, and it should be 4 of these. But you know, I'm happy enough with 2, but I could definitely see moving that up to a 3 or a 4. Because again, it's just give you that damage pump. It's repeatable damage pump, so it just means everything's going in for 3, 4, 5, 6 instead. It just costs you those foundations, but again, it's a way of keeping yourself out of deadlock. It's very good. Destined, again, everyone knows what Destined does by now. It just either guarantees your checks or draws your cards. Again, I could see that possibly this should be the case. So we've got, you know, we're playing the 4th Destined and the 3rd Nejire-chan here, but I think this was more the block zone thing, having those low blocks in there. But maybe this deck doesn't really want to block and just kill people, so maybe we should just lean into our offensive thing. And that's sort of depends on how you feel about the build, really. But yeah, 3 Destined's been okay. I could certainly see playing the 4th here. So yeah, that's our 1 diffs. So again, you know, if you look at our foundation base, it's pretty much all spam, right? That is all spam, and I think we have to because of the 1s and the 2s, and because we want to be aggressive, right? We want to be killing on turn 3 because we don't have that survivability. We do play a few 2s, not many at all, and 0 3s. So we've got the 1 of latent skill. Latent skill's good. I've not really had it in play, but I've not really found I needed it. This could easily be a Nejire-chan, honestly. I would like to maybe play a second one because sometimes you want to pitch like a storm or a sound wave from your hand into your discard pile so you can sound waves it back and set up those chains. I've not felt I've lacked for this card when I've not had it out, so I think this could easily be something else. Humble Hero is a one-off. Hasn't really come up. I like the idea of it, but I haven't really had it in play. Again, it's another low block to get in the deck, and it's a way of snapping that momentum. So you've got plenty of ways of snapping that momentum to get into those sound wave chains. So I like this in concept. I've not really been able to, because I'm only playing a one-off, I'm not really about to get it into play to test it. But again, this could be something else. And then they're playing 3 Nice Try as a bit of defense. as something we're happy to commit on our turn on those sort of strings to string things out, and then give us a bit of defense on the backswing. This could easily be, and possibly should be, specialist a sound, just as that a bit of extra defense, a bit of extra speed hate. Because it's basically only this and release we're playing as any sort of real defense. But I like Nice Try. I like the ability to sort of, just because we're trying to string, because we're sort of being quite greedy, because we're playing those 1 and 2 checks, we're having to commit quite a lot. So this is almost, it's a bit of safety, a bit more safe than Specialist. However, obviously Specialist then gives you that, when you check it, respond, look at the top, if there's a 1 on there, okay, I need to panic and work out what I'm doing. So it's, I could see it being either way. I've gone with Nice Try for now, but I could definitely be convinced it should be Specialist. I think it's almost like, to me, it's a 50-50 choice and probably a personal preference thing. But yeah, we're only playing 5-2s. Everything else is spam. We do have 2 other cards in the deck. So the first is a single manifest. Again, I haven't actually ever drawn this in a game. Out of all the games I've played, I've never had drawn this and seen how it plays. Conceptually, it should be good, right? Because it's another way of snapping that momentum. It's got a good high and then with the on-block effect to gain the health. But it is a 3 in our dangerous deck. It is another 4 check, so we're running, even in our loads of spam, we are running a reasonable amount of 4s. Like we've got Blade Tooth as a 4, and we've got obviously Release as a 4. Eventually, yeah. So we are playing 8 4 checks already, so our checks are pretty terrible. So I could see cutting this. I could even see playing a second if it plays out. Again, I'd like, obviously I don't know how other people feel about this card and how it works out for them, but again, in my head it should be good and should work with what the deck's doing, but I just don't think we get to be greedy and play many of them. But again, I could see this being like the latent skill stuff, right? I could see this actually being a second manifest quite easily and testing that out, and that might be something I'd try as like a next iteration. And then we've got a one-off Sports Festival Stadium. So this was a very late change. This did used to be a one-off seizing the advantage. Because again, I didn't feel like I could play many of those. It's like a snipe, and then this was on the side. And when I was putting together the sideboard, I put one of these and I thought, actually, this should probably be main. Because it does multiple things, right? It's extra damage on our 3 damage attacks. Brilliant, that's what we want. We want this damage hump. It's a terrain, so it messes if other people are trying to do terrain things. And like the commit, ruins face shields and breakers and all that stuff. Brilliant. We're trying to string something that protects us against breaker. Perfect. It's pretty much everything we want in a card, other than it's got a 2 and might mean we try and build it turn 1 and then lose the game. Yeah, that's sort of how this deck goes. I could see playing a second, even maybe in the sideboard I could see playing a second just when it's really important because someone's trying to the new action and give and break a 4 rest of the Nice Storm. I can't maximum hardening. I call it something. No, barrier shield. That's the one. Someone's trying to barrier shield us and then Ice Storm block us for a breaker 4, just to have this out and say, actually, no, you don't get to do that. And I'm going to continue my turn. So yeah, I mean, that's sort of the deck. It's about 56, 57 cards, something on those lines. I do have a sideboard, however this was very hastily put together, and honestly is a bit of a mess, and it's a lot of 2 diffs which probably shouldn't be. So this was like my hastily put together sideboard, right? And I think I would not take this. I would take this with a massive grain of salt as to what it should be. But these all felt like they fit. They did roles. Like this is good against people who have sufficient speed hate, like an Erased or something. Plus ultras are always good as a nice option in a set 1 character as like an omni block type thing. Seizing when you need snipes for things like they're in the standards, or apathetics for your blade teeth, things like that. When you need those snipes, it's obviously very good. It gives you the speed, which you don't really need. Pretty much everything is a weapon. So, and again, it's just adding difficulty to our attacks when we're running 1s and 2s. We've got to be careful. So I'd probably keep these in the sideboard. Encouraging Training Partner is obviously very good. Speed resets. I don't know whether we're allowed to play these on a 2. Wall Cling as another 2/4. Maybe like as a, obviously it's very good against things like a Mirio and stuff like that and the throw decks. Chile as a one of is just one of those things that when I'm playing Chile the symbols, I quite like just having my sideboard because it's a really nice option. But again, it's all sort of high difficulty stuff in here. So I think there's certainly a lot of other places you can go with sideboard for this and other options. I've not really thought it through too much. These were just sort of when I was prepping for webcam locals. Shout outs to Sean and Patriot Games for said webcam locals. I just sort of flung that together. Never actually used it. So the sideboard is very much a work in progress and hasn't really gone anywhere. But I really, really like this deck. It's a lot of fun. You do silly things with Sound Waves and Storm Blades, and then everything else in the deck. At the aforementioned webcam locals, I beat a Mimic, I then beat a 10 guy, and then in the finals against Mr. Hardiman, there's your weekly shout out for your royalties. He was on Mirio, I was a game up, and then we agreed to ID so I could go run off on podcast. So, it's fun and meme-me, but actually seems to be putting up a certain amount of results. There's going to be I don't see how this ever beats a recovery girl, right? You're pinking and plonking and she just plays one ruthless mucker and says, what are you doing? I think if you play this deck against recovery girl, your best option is just to sign the slip as a loss and then just, enjoy the rest of your hour doing something more peaceful. 5-handers in general are probably quite difficult because you are just trying to plink and plunk people down and they've got a lot of health to do that too. But I think this has got game. It's very aggressive. It doesn't have too much defense, but Jiro's just a good character, and sometimes you just play good Jiro things without the sort of more memey stuff, right? But this card is so much fun. And sometimes you play a Storm of Blades and you flip 5 and they're all foundations and you hate your life. And then sometimes, like the very first game I ever played with this deck, you play sound waves into IER, into sound waves, into Storm of Blades, and then flip the rest of the 3 of them, and then to another, and then into, I think it was an IER on the end. And then when you do that to your son, he hates you and will never play against you with this deck again. That was a little deck profile of Storm Jiro. This card's so much fun. I fully recommend just trying this deck out, giving it a spin, and just having a blast with it. We'll wrap it up there. Thanks everyone for watching. Obviously, press the like, subscribe, comments. Let us know what you think about the format. Any sort of feedback would be great. First time I've ever done these bad boys. So, and we'll try maybe do some more in the future if it's something you like. So catch you all later and join in our next episode of UK Versus over on twitch.tv, that daddy guy. Peace out.